Howdy folks, welcome to another week of Resilience Growing. Today we're going to Reground, who are our neighbours here in the Melbourne Innovation Centre. We're going to be speaking to Luke, their operations manager, all about waste. Soft plastics recycling, composting, closing the loop, and all that kind of good stuff. So, let's get started. So here we are today at Reground with Luke. Luke, why don't you tell us about yourself and about Reground?
Sure thing. So I'm operations manager here in Alphington for Reground. Essentially what we do, what we live and thrive on, is waste minimisation and the behaviour change that's involved with waste minimisation. We've been around for about 5 years now and working with small to medium-sized businesses around the Melbourne metro area, sort of working out what their habits are around waste and how behaviour change solutions can help them minimise their waste. Really remind everyone that changing your behaviour to minimise your waste in the first place is really the priority over recycling itself.
Could you show us around your facility? We'd love to learn a little bit more about what you do and how you do it.
Absolutely. Alrighty, so this is our baler. This is where when we've collected the soft plastics from our clients, we bring them here, decontaminate. We have this basically a threefold decontamination process. We fill up the baler with either a clear or a coloured plastic, bale them up there. The clear plastic, we then finish the processing here and take it just down the road to APR. They recycle it into a building membrane, which is used to waterproof concrete slabs and what have you.
Oh, cool.
Similarly, our coloured plastics we send out to Somerton to close the loop, and what they create with the plastics and with ink filament and recycled oil is an additive for asphalting to bind the aggregates in the asphalt mix together. And then it's just used to lay roads. And the brilliant thing about the end product there, the roads, is that they're actually better performing. Lifespan's a few years longer than your traditional road.
Oh, wow.
So it means you're laying less roads, you can actually recycle the asphalt better.
Yeah.
It's just holistically a better product, and again filling a need, a very real need, especially for Victoria with our infrastructure upgrades.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're here with the bins.
The Reground bins, yes. The process is dead simple, which is kind of the beauty of it. If you're a cafe, you'll pour your shot of coffee, you knock it into your knock box, eventually that fills up, and then you just tip your knock box straight into these guys. Really the goal is to divert all of their coffee waste from landfill.
So coffee grounds make a really good fertilizer, correct?
Correct, yeah. A lot of the nutrients in the coffee, particularly the nitrogen, really support plant growth. We recommend using coffee in your compost at about a 20% ratio, because any higher it does get a little acidic.
Right.
But with that 20% ratio, it is essentially just an organic fertilizer for the plants, and they thrive on it.
Yeah, it's great.
So we come around, Kyle's out on the road today, fill up the van full of 16 of these guys, and then we drop them off to one of our end users, which can be just a local grower who has a particularly large compost system at home, bearing in mind that they'll get delivered about a ton of coffee, so especially large compost system.
Yeah.
Otherwise we go to some sort of urban growers, 3,000 acres for example.
Yep.
Thirdly, we go to the zoo. They have a really phenomenal compost system, and they're really sort of leading the way on the zero waste in the workplace philosophy that a lot of businesses around Melbourne are following, and so they've been pretty much since day one a big supporter of Reground.
Cool. Do you guys have a list of cafes that you partner with that people can access?
We absolutely do. If you just go to reground.com.au, you'll see an interactive map with all the cafes that we partner with, I guess you could say, and just directions to where you can get a sustainable coffee.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good for the people at home to know.
Absolutely.
Could you tell us a little bit more about what is actually the incentive for a business or a cafe to use Reground and to divert their waste in the first place?
I guess first and foremost, a great benefit that these businesses get through using Reground is through our initiatives like our waste audits, our education programs, and our actual collection service. It reduced the volume of waste that they need to get externally collected. So there's an immediate cost saving there. The reality is, for a lot of small businesses, $50 a week can be a massive impact on their business. So whatever we can do to help them reduce the waste that they're getting collected by other contractors it's going to save them in the long run.
Yeah.
But then there's all the benefits of being a part of community, being part of the Reground community. These cafes can support each other, and rather than sort of breeding a sense of competition between them, you breed the sense of collaboration between them. And so it's best that they all thrive rather than one dominates the market and the others sort of fall to the side.
All right, so here we are in the compost depot, farm wall, right here.
Next door neighbours.
Yeah, so we're neighbours, which is pretty cool. But yeah, do you want to tell us about the depot?
Sure thing. So this is the Reground compost depot, now the Reground resource centre. The idea being to set up depots around the metro area so that those living in, say, an apartment building have a solution to compost their food waste. You rely on people with a backyard, well then very quickly that becomes a minority of the metro population.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to work out solutions to
diverting waste streams from places where people can't compost easily, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A local resident will sign up to the membership. The membership is based on whether you're a single homeowner or couple or as a family. It just depends on the volume of food waste you'll be bringing here.
Yeah.
But basically, you sign up through our website, and then you come here. You collect a bucket for use at home, fill that up, and then you bring it back in. Drop off your bucket, grab a new one, and away you go. We'll process it in the various compost bins, and eventually you'll be able to take compost home if you wish, or what we grow with your compost here, you'll be able to take home the harvest. Very community minded. We'll be running a lot of workshops here on composting and reusing food waste or avoiding food waste.
Yeah.
Basically anything centrally minded on that avoiding waste, reusing waste philosophy.
Fantastic. Is it a paid subscription thing, or is it kind of?
It is, and that's to cover the costs of operating the depot and also the workshops that are involved. It's minimal cost though, and especially for once we're harvesting the produce, and it's just a help yourself sort of system.
Yeah, absolutely.
To the food that's grown with your compost, and that again sort of closes the loop of you're bringing in your food waste. It's being broken down into compost. We're growing these vegetables with your compost. You take the vegetables home, create more food waste, and away we go.
Yeah, it's a beautiful system. And plugging into a community of like-minded people who care about sustainability and about growing food, it's got an immense amount of value.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's integral nowadays with the majority of our populations living in cities, the majority of those living in cities living in apartments.
Yeah.
And ironically, even though we're living closer to each other, there's a lot of disconnect in those communities. I've found personally living in apartment buildings, you don't know someone who's living 5 meters away from you.
Yeah.
And so these sort of initiatives bring that sense of community back to areas.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's where, yes, there's the immediate benefit of diverting food waste from landfill, creating compost. There's extended benefits of that sense of community and of that sort of community education that comes with it.
Yeah, totally.
And that's kind of what we're hoping will thrive here.
Totally. So we've talked a lot about closing the loop, and I feel like it might be good if you just kind of enlighten us a little bit as to what that is and what your perspective on it is.
Sure. To me, closing the loop is living within your means so that throughout the course of my life, I've not sort of disadvantaged someone that comes after me and their potential for their life afterwards. But essentially, I guess like sort of in the immediate lens, closing the loop is this shift in perspective of seeing something as either a product and a resource or waste and therefore discard it.
Yeah.
When the sort of loop in our mind has been closed where waste is a resource, it's just a different form of a resource, You can use it to grow your vegetables, you can use it to repurpose it and lay roads with it.
Yeah.
It is a valuable product, and I think when that sort of mindset shift comes, that's a key part of closing the loop. And then we need infrastructure and businesses and really government to support the rollout of products like a tonoplas that goes in our roads, like building membranes instead of using raw plastics. So the closing the loop very much is the sort of, for the individual, reducing their waste, minimizing their waste, but then what waste they do have left, reusing it, or at least ensuring it's recycled locally.
Yeah.
And that needs to be supported by government.
Yeah. It's one of those topics where it can be as simple as like, it's literally a circle.
Yeah.
And like,
that's
just
it.
live within the circle, either as an individual or as a society.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, within that, there's so much more room for discussion about what that means and like modeling off ecosystems, how they are naturally closed loop systems, because every single element within an ecosystem plays a role in influencing another element. Nothing gets wasted, so to speak. Like the idea of there being waste in a forest ecosystem is it just doesn't exist, because like every part of that ecosystem, even when it's like the leaf litter, it's like dead organisms, they break down and they become something new for something else.
Eventually it just goes back to the soil eventually, and then something else grows up through it, and then it sheds its leaves, and the cycle sort of continues.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I think it is just, I think a really important part of this whole process, and a part that Reground plays a very active role in, is just sort of creating that public consciousness of just that simple fact that there shouldn't be this corner of the neighborhood, of the country, of the world where we dump all our waste. Because just like logistically, eventually that's going to grow and come back to bite us. So working out solutions where, so packaging isn't made out of 4, 5, 6, 7 different materials. It's made out of maybe one polymer, hopefully not even a polymer, but it's made out of one product. That product can be recycled easily or reused easily. I think that's the shift that we're sort of slowly working towards. But can probably be working towards it a lot quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, one step at a time.
One step at a time.
And just to wrap it up, I'd love to know why urban food or urban resilience is important to you, Luke.
Sure. So that again, I think there's sort of like philosophical and sort of educational benefits to urban agriculture, as well as immediate, very realized benefits. Like this sort of, in a sense, philosophical benefits are just sort of, again, working with that public consciousness that, you know, relying on big ag for your food supply is that's a very vulnerable system in itself, because if something happens to the supply chain, your food supply is in jeopardy. We've seen that recently with the closing of state borders. If you're growing food locally, if you're growing it in, say, your rooftop apartment or in your apartment or at home, that vulnerability, that reliance on an external part of the food system is removed. And so there's that very real benefit of only relying on yourself for your food supply. But also they're great vehicles for education as well. Urban ag setups, it's a brilliant way. I no idea what the stats are, but I'm sure there are more people than ever that really are disconnected from where their foods come from.
I think that's pretty true.
So I think it's all about that sort of shifting awareness of farm to table process. If your farm's next to your table, then you know that's ideal, I think.
Totally. Even if you're only growing a little bit of your diet at first, you know, it's like you said, it's the educational value and then the community value, and then like plugging into ideas of closing the loop, and then all the kind of the ecosystem around urban food that you then become sort of aware of has immense value for all of us.
Absolutely. And there's also, I don't know, there's an enjoyment and like an affirmation in growing your own food and eating a salad that you've made. Like, you know, that's my spinach, that's the carrot I was growing over the last month or whatever. Like, there's just, a lot of enjoyment, I think, in that. So
totally. I think everyone at home would agree with you who's been growing the market greens and loving it. Cool. Well, I think that about does it for today. Thank you so much, Luke, for showing us around and for taking the time to speak to us. And
anytime.
Hope to see you again soon.
You absolutely will.